this ass Genesis music up in here with your 16 bits of FM synthesis.
Yeah, it's not the best, but it ain't the worst.
No, I like it. Actually, I think the Genesis is a sexy sound. I know it's when you compare it to the SNES, that's a tough one to pull.
Yeah, it's still growing on me. I'll put it that way. It's growing on me. The more time that passes, the more fond I think of it. But at the time, I remember going, "Oh, this sounds like ass."
Yeah, I was having a discussion this past week with several Discord.
All right, we are recording, and that's good news because it's time to record this here show, and we will do it in 3, 2, 1.
The house that produces the most spice will control Dune. There are no set territories and no rules of engagement.
Your battle for Dune begins now.
Wait for it.
Oh, that awkward pause means one thing and one thing only. It was a very dramatic pause. Welcome to Play Retro, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Johnson, and we know that the spice must flow, but no one told me that I had to be the one to make sure the spice flowed. No one told me that we had to worry about giant sandworms in order to keep spice production going. No one told me that using a controller in the world's proto-RTS would give me hair in places it's not meant to grow. Death to the Harkonnens!
Yes, screw you, Harkonnens, and I'm your other house, Brian Dunaway, and I'm clicking as fast as I can, you piece of early RTS micromanagement puke. Holy Harkonnens, my mouse hand feels like I stuck it in a box full of pain and forgot how to pull it out. Now suck my sandworms. I'm about to Bene Gesserit. All your spice belong to us. What do you mean on this planet I will die? I don't even want to play this anymore, you stupid mentat.
Yeah, you mentat.
Mentat.
Stupid mentats. You know, not
I
near
love
enough.
That one mentat though.
There's not enough. There's not enough good mentats in the movies. The movies didn't really get into it.
Oh yeah.
You see him. What's his name? Who works for the Atreides? He's that actor I love. Short little guy. When he looks up and does the calculations, he's doing mentat shit. But they don't get into it like the books do. They don't even come close on that.
And
it's
can't
fine.
wait to talk about. We're going to reveal our vast or small knowledge
limited
of
knowledge
the Dune books very shortly. So stay tuned to learn who read the Dune book and who didn't.
Yeah, Brian probably didn't. I have twice, but the most recent has been a little time. So most of my immediate knowledge is going to be things I remember from the movies. But I loved Dune as a kid. I read it when I was 15 and adored it. And so, much to my happiness, there were Dune games that came out in the 16-bit era. Yeah. And we're going to talk about those today. Before we do, though, quick reminder that if you're not a part of the Patreon, you might want to be, because everybody wants to know what we think of these GameStop retro stores that are going to be opening soon. It's a big announcement this week. We went into that discussion quite deeply in today's pre-show, which is part of being a patron over at patreon.com/playretro. So, if you want to
and something we discovered accidentally that I can't believe is a thing, and I can't wait for it to come off pre-order.
Yeah, there's a few things like that.
GameStop.
So if you want to check that out and hear what we had to say, join us at patreon.com/playretro. In the meantime, though, let's talk about stuff we got up to this week. Here's some good news. I don't have it in front of me because it's still being mailed to me, so I don't know why I looked around my desk just now. But it's on its way. We are going to be giving away an analog pocket to a lucky listener. We can't really start the project or the contest until I get it here, but I have one. Brian's holding up his right now, so you know what you're looking at. The Analog Pocket, of course, famous for its FPGA emulation, its actual card use, all the way up to GBA and beyond, or what else?
Game Boy Advance, that's what I've got in here right now. I've got a Wolverine from back when we did the Wolverine episode.
Yeah.
I got Wolverine's Revenge right there. That's a Game Boy Advance game. It does Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. And I love it. It's so freaking slick and cool. And the only problem is this analog is always short on supply. But we're getting one in, so I'm very excited. And
Yeah.
one lucky listener is going to get that, and it's going to be amazing. It's
Yep.
amazing.
Yep. Big props to my friend Dan who's donating it. It was really, really nice of him to do that. It will be here anytime, and as soon as it arrives, we will have a form up. People can get in there, get the contest going, and we will give it to a lucky Play Retro listener. And that's where we're going to keep this.
Me.
I'm not going to put it everywhere. I'm going to just put it where all the Play Retro stuff happens. Okay.
Right.
So we're thinking about you, not all the other Frog Pants listeners who just can't be bothered to check out Play Retro. Then we don't care about them in this case. Okay.
And if they're listening, then we're not talking. If we're not talking about you, if you're listening, so there you go.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah. Keep your eye on the Discord and on the Patreon. We'll tell you guys real quick. No, it is not Dan, the tabletop man. Different Dan. All right.
Nice Dan though.
Oh, he's a great. We love all our Dans. All our Dans are great.
Yeah.
But that is a different Dan.
Dan
this
Fielding.
Dan is this. He is. There are many Dans. This one is ours. Okay. Hey Brian, tell me about the Flippy Drive project because I've never even heard of the damn thing. What is it?
I've been waiting on this for a little bit. It's called the Flippy Drive, and if you have a GameCube, I have 4. You're probably thinking, oh no, that optical drive, the little spinny drive, and those discs, they're bound to fail eventually, and they are. So the Flippy Drive is a solution that allows you to keep your optical drive in the machine, because there's other solutions out there that allow you to replace your optical drive with SD cards, but it usually requires you to do some soldering and it requires you to lose use of your real optical drive. I've never been a fan of that because I have lots of discs and I like to spin them up occasionally. I like to watch them spin. And the Flippy Drive is a solderless solution. It just plugs in through a ribbon cable, and it allows you to keep your optical drive, and you can just flip back and forth between your ROMs and play on your real GameCube, which is a pretty darn good machine. And I love the physical controls. Also, this is crazy cheap. It's still in the what do they call it, the drive part of it, where they're selling them now, right? So that they'll be delivered next January the 25th.
It's basically a Kickstarter type site. It's called, I've heard this before, it's called crowdsupply.com, and they do a lot more kind of tech stuff on there. And so backers right now, by the way, this is crazy to me. Let me pull this up. They had a goal of $1. And they are now at $319,655. So they've done real well compared to their goal.
$38 for the Flippy Drive and the kit with the cable and everything, with $8 US shipping, $18 worldwide. They've got other options too. They got an upcoming Ethernet thing they're looking at too. This will work for your original GameCube and the one later, the Doll 101.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been so excited about this, and I think so many other people have too. And it has just blown up. I got in, when I loaded the page up when they launched the project, I loaded it up and there was only 2 people, and I was like, oh cool, only 2 people have claimed it so far. And I hit the button. 2 hours later, I finally was able to order. I was like, I don't know, like 600 or something. It was a lot of people are doing over 5,000, 6,000. So many people have ordered this darn thing. I hope they can handle all of it.
Yeah, that's the only scary thing about crowdfunding is if you hit it big, you have to fulfill all that shit, and it's very difficult. Well, it's just a ton of work. It's a lot of work. So
it's a lot of work. I didn't opt for the when I first saw it. The first ones are going to be delivered, I think, like November or something, but I missed out on those, that first however many. And you have the network kit as well. I'm not sure about that. They haven't come out in a lot of details. It's like $60 to get both together. And I'm like, I think I'll wait on the network thing, and maybe I'll regret that, but I'm not that interested in the network part anyway.
Yeah.
There's other solutions for that doesn't require soldering.
Sure.
So it'll be fine.
Sure. That's exciting though. I like this.
Yeah.
I didn't know about this until you said something about it. So you're informing the public and me at the same time. Nice job.
And one more thing, just real quick.
Oh yeah, what do you got there? Oh, look at that, sexy. That's the big old beefy booger. Well, no, this is the one that replaced the Duke.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. This is the one that replaced the Duke. It's a replica of the one that replaced the Duke, which is the S type. This is Hyperkin's new controller.
Original Xbox. Everybody, sorry, we're talking as if everyone can see it, but yeah, it's an original Xbox looking controller. Although you said it's not the
Yeah.
actual thing.
It's not. It is a USB-C, plugs into your regular PC and into your modern Xbox machines, but it is stylized just like that nice big chunky button right there, which you can hear,
Hell yeah.
and it's sexy. So yeah, join the Discord server. I think I post some pictures there, and if I haven't already, I'll post some more, or I'll post it on our Patreon feed as well.
That's great. I'm in. Sign me up, dude.
I'm gonna give a good review. I paid for it. No influence. I'm going to give you an honest review about it.
He'll do it. He'll be honest. He'll tell you the truth. That's what Brian does.
Yeah.
All right.
The truth.
The truth will be known, and Brian will be the truth giver.
I will bring you the spice.
The giver of truth. All right. Excellent work. Let's get moving on down the road here and start talking about our game of the week. It's right here.
Shall we play a game?
Sure, let's play a game. Let's play Dune. In particular, let's play Dune II, The Building of a Dynasty from 1992 for the MS-DOS, Amiga, and Genesis platforms. I will tell you right now, I played this entirely on a Genesis this week. I did not do the PC version, but you did. And
I got you covered, baby.
That's good.
Don't worry about it.
That's good. How did you feel about mouse and keyboard control? Do you feel like it was pretty strong? It was good?
Oh, yeah. So at first, I was like, DOS all the way, baby. Genesis is a controller. This is an RTS, real-time strategy, Dune 2 game. I'm like, come on. There's no way the Genesis could even hold a candle to it. I peeked at the Amiga, by the way, and it's basically the MS-DOS version with some cutbacks. Anyway, I played the MS-DOS version, then I played the Genesis version, and immediately was like, I like the Genesis version better. And then since we missed a week last week, I went back and I played the MS-DOS version again, and I gotta say, I swung back again. Now I'm all about the MS-DOS, and the reason why is because some quality of life improvements. If you go and grab Dune Legacy. Dune Legacy is one of those modern community-driven projects that allows you to play Dune 2 on your modern PC.
Yeah.
And once you get all the little bells and whistles of that bad boy, oh my gosh, it is so delicious. It kicks the Genesis in the ass, but it's not really fair.
Yeah, it's not fair because you can't mod that. Yeah, exactly. But I'll tell you what, it's a little surprising how well this works on a Genesis and how well it works on a 3-button standard Genesis controller. It shouldn't work as well as it does. And even at the time, the big talk around this game was, holy crap, have you played this strategy game that's on the Genesis? It's unbelievable. And there was a lot of word of mouth around this game. And, people knew what Dune was. People had read books. They knew about the 84 horrible movie, all that stuff. We live in way better Dune times now. There's never been a better time to be a Dune fan, in my opinion, than at the very moment. But back in the day, this was a fairly accurate representation of the conflict, at least from the war side of things in the book, and the factions as they were opposed to each other and so on. And I think that the Genesis game does a very admirable job, including some VO in there. You heard some of this stuff at the top of the show. This guy right here.
The house that produces the most spice.
That's the Emperor, dude. Talking in your Genesis game. Pretty impressive.
And that's, if I remember my history correctly, that's the music composer who also provided some voice work, if I remember correctly.
No, wouldn't surprise me. They all did that back then. That's true.
Yeah. He's somebody on staff. It's like, we need to fill in some voice work here. I'm going to go ahead and record it now.
Yep.
And then at the end of the day, they just go, just use that. That'll work.
And it was usually really tinny garbage microphones. That's the way it was back then. It's fine. We lived with it.
It's coming out of the Genesis. I mean, this is pretty freaking amazing what they did in the Genesis. Pretty smart design overall, and how they designed the AI, because you think there's a larger AI at work. By the way, here's a source for your for where I read a lot of the information I got this week. There's a readonlymemory.com article called "The Making of Dune 2," and I got all the great resource information from that article. You got to read it. And they talk about how they got here with this game, and how they made the AI not take up too much resources.
Yeah, and also
by not having an overall AI, but having each little component kind of does its little thing on its own. So it looks like they're all working in concert, but they're not really.
yeah, and it's for a Genesis game with limited cartridge space at this era, anyway. That was huge. Also, RTS as a genre hadn't really been birthed yet. So here's Westwood Studios going, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" And it changed everything. Like Command and Conquer would come after this from them, same developer, but also things like Warcraft and Orcs versus Humans, Warcraft 2, StarCraft, all the amazing RTSs that would flow later. Even though we're in a bit of a rut right now, RTS wise.
Right.
It's a couple of companies trying to do new stuff. It'll be interesting to see if anybody really can pull it off and make it huge and popular again. MOBAs sort of took over. And they were birthed from within RTSs, Warcraft 3 to be specific. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they have a hard time. But if you are just looking at this from a historical perspective, it's an entire genre that kind of was invented by Westwood and would cement their legacy, at least till they sold themselves to EA and got sucky.
Well, they talked a lot about this in the article too. There's big influences that came along, like Populous, Eye of the Beholder, Herzog Zui, which was a Duke II, I think is what it is, American translation. But that was a huge influence, and so they took a lot of pieces from things that already existed, and they stole basically wholesale stuff. But that's what you do, right? You don't make something necessarily new. You just kind of take things that already exist and you kind of put them together, and you make something that just improves upon the whole system. Yeah. And they happen to nail each component of what would go forward as the de facto real-time strategy. Popularized it. It codified it, however you want to say it. This is the one. This is where it all started.
Yeah, no, this is 100. I believe that is correct. A correct way of putting all of this, and it's an important moment in games that I just don't think you can overlook it. It's one of those moments where you're like, it's like the first MUDs that MMOs would come out later to sort of fulfill the destiny of, or whatever. The beginnings of things. Street Fighter is a good example of an entire genre being birthed. This is that, and it just so happens to be happening with something based on a beloved science fiction novel. Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's good because Dune, the property, the IP, took a huge hit after the movie, right? The 1984 movie. It's become a cult classic since then, but it didn't do great at the theater, and it was always considered a little too weird for audiences then. Over time, we've kind of started appreciating it more. But as a result, they were able to go out, and before it wasn't just Virgin, it was Mastertronic.
Yeah.
Do you ever remember Mastertronic, their little emblem and stuff? It kind of started there. And they got the rights to do Dune because they knew it was a good, well-known property, and it kind of been battered around a little bit in the public eye. Yeah. But plenty enough fans out there for it. And so then that happened, and they merged with Virgin and became Virgin Games. And then they started with Dune 1. And by the way, that in itself is a story talking about what happened to the original Dune. Well, Dune and Dune 2 came out pretty much at the same time because the Dune original game by French developer Cryo Interactive was they didn't have a lot of faith in it.
Yeah.
And so they happened to be talking to Westwood, and they got some good ideas, and they thought, oh yeah, go ahead with that. But then they had backtracking and saying, yeah, we are coming out with the Cryo Interactive, which already had the Dune title. And so the games aren't related other than the topic of Dune. And so but they got released pretty close to the same time, so it caused a little confusion, caused plenty of confusion for me.
Yeah.
But now that I know the whole story, I definitely prefer Dune 2, but I do have some love for Dune the original by Cryo Interactive, and we'll have another episode about that eventually.
Yeah, I think that first game is terrible, but like a lot of things. I have some love for it.
What?
Tell me what you liked about it, because that thing's a dog.
Oh my
dog
gosh.
pooper.
It's a point and click. adventure somewhat, but it's also got strategy, and there's like Dune is all about well, it's about spice, but really it's about power dynamics and politics, and so this one has this first game has where you're having conversations. You're basically getting in your ornithopter, which everybody loves.
Yeah, they're amazing.
And you're
They
you're
never
flying
work, by the
around.
way. Like the physics of them have been basically
Yeah.
disproven 100 times over, but they're still cool. I think
But
they're
that's
awesome.
why we love them.
Yeah.
That's because it is so science fiction that it's like, oh, isn't that some cool ass shit?
Yeah.
And so, but there's this thing where you're going and you're meeting all these different characters. You're going to meet the Freeman, and based on reputation building.
Fremen.
Once you get into the first Freeman, excuse me.
Fremen.
I call him Freeman,
Yeah.
but you're right, it's Freeman.
Yeah. No, Fremen.
and-
But yeah.
Freeman. But the point is, you get to talk to all these different characters in that world, and it's a real interesting navigation and a mix of game types. It's funny because you got this RTS that took all these game types and put them together and became something greater. But then the original Dune one also kind of did the same thing, but in a different direction, and it kind of just died on the vine.
Yeah.
But it still has some really good ideas, and the artwork alone is just mind-boggling. Looking at that sprite work and stuff, I'm not going to dismiss the original Dune by Cryo Interactive because I think it still has plenty of value.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, the Fremen thing is hard to remember because it sounds, and I'm not even saying that Arthur C. Clarke didn't mean to do, not Arthur C. Clarke. Well, no, that is
Right.
Wait, who wrote Dune?
Herbert.
Sorry, Frank
Right?
Herbert. Jeez, that's the other science fiction guy.
It's right.
Arthur C. Clarke did iRobot and all that.
Right.
Anyway, he may have been trying to just refer to this as they are free men. They kind of want to just live. They want to live by their own laws. They don't want the rest of the universe to bug them. And the fact that they're called Fremen without the extra E
Yes.
has always been sort of
That's
like
intentional.
it feels
That's
like
intentional.
it. It feels like it. They don't ever say it
Right.
that it's intentional, but I think it probably is.
Oh, it's absolutely. I mean, the whole thing is just. Oh, you could just dissect Dune forever. And one of the things I love about
Isaac
Dune is probably the
Asimov
thing
did
that he
iRobot. What is wrong with me? Arthur C. Clarke is 2001 Space. Oh, there it is right there. Of course says it. Why can I got? Wait, who did Foundation? Foundation.
You know what this
novels.
proves to me? This
What?
proves to me that me and Scott need to do a classic sci-fi miniseries podcast so that we get all that stuff straight in our head.
Yeah,
'Cause
that
I
would
always wanted
definitely
to
help
be-
educate us more on the old names. Isaac
I've
Asimov
always wanted
is
to
he's
be-
the Foundation guy. So Isaac Asimov did Foundation. He did robot stuff and there all kinds of stuff. Arthur C. Clarke, 2001: Space Odyssey, among other things, and then Frank Herbert, Dune. All right, I'm good. I
Right.
got it. We're good.
But I'm telling you, we're gonna do a full episode on the cryo branch of Dune because not only did they do that, they also did one called Frank Herbert's Dune, and they did. There was another one that got canceled for the Game Boy Advance, but there's a prototype out there for it. So there's lots more Dune, even beyond the RTS stuff that we're talking about today, which is basically just Dune 2, which I call Dune 2 Part 1.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Good luck.
The numbering's a little weird, but it's a big deal. This game, I cannot emphasize this enough. When you create a new genre in gaming, you don't even really know you're doing it. Like you're going to find out later because you're going to be, people are going to love you forever for it. And there's lots of stories like arcade developers in the Atari days that made stuff that just changed the way we play games. But I don't think they think of that while they're making it. I think they're just trying to make a cool game. It's like, we like war games. We like strategy. How do we do that here? And somehow figured out how to make an RTS work on a cartridge. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Like crazy town back then.
I really had trouble playing like I mentioned earlier. So when you're playing this with mouse and keyboard, when you have to, it's got all the RTS things. We kind of talked about we haven't really talked about what RTS elements are here, but it's the stuff like base building. and the base building is right at the core of everything you're doing, because you got a base build, then you got to collect spice, and then you got to build your army, because you're competing, is the intro set at the top of the show. You're competing with the other houses. You got your Atreides, your Harkonnen, and your Ordos. Ordos? But Ordos doesn't even exist. Ordos doesn't even exist in the novel. That's actually something that was only mentioned in like Dune Encyclopedia. So I'm assuming when they were creating this, they felt like they needed three factions, because how are you gonna have that balance?
Yeah.
You can't just go head to head. You got to put that third one in there.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, all the houses, and there's some specialization for each of the houses in how they have tanks or different weapons.
Yeah.
But they're all pretty much this kind of bland in comparison to later RTSs, but it's serviceable.
Mm-hmm.
It's serviceable. And
Sure.
On the DOS version, the things you take for granted now, which is like multiple troop selection. So lots of more modern RTSs, you just double click one type of troop and it selects all of them on screen. And you just tell them to go a place, or you can set up a waypoint for your characters. None of that here.
No.
You gotta select a guy,
Yeah.
one guy,
Yeah.
and then on the side in the HUD, you'll have some commands for him, like he can retreat essentially, or go travel here, retreat, and the same thing for all of your different troop types, whether it be tanks or quads or trikes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of clicking, unless you're playing Dune Legacy.
Yeah.
In which case they've added stuff like you can multi-select characters now.
Yeah.
And so when I went back and played the DOS version with Dune Legacy, oh my God, it was such a pleasure, because this game is so damn hard.
It's hard
if you don't have that. Your enemies, I always go with Atreides, because I watch the movies.
You're a good guy. You know who they are. Sure.
I know the good guy is. I'm not going to play the Harkonnen. They're a bunch of jerks, right?
They are jerks.
And
I'd love them, but they're jerks. You're not wrong.
Yeah. So I always go that way. The problem is the darn Harkonnen are very aggressive, and in the game, like I said, doesn't have an overall big mindset logic. So they just do things that moves the game along. So the Harkonnens, if they're your opponent in the fog of war, where you can't see them at, they may be getting free spice.
Yeah.
So they don't actually have to go out and harvest the spice. There's not an AI back there doing the same things that you're doing. No, they're just getting freebies, right?
Yeah.
They're just getting fed some spice. They're getting fed troops. And so you're over here busting your butt one at a time, going, okay, you move over here so I can put some concrete down on the blocks, so that when I put my buildings there, they don't erode too fast, because then I'll have to repair them, and then I'll cost spice. I don't want to do that. While you're doing that, they're marching over one by one, just attacking you. And so it got very frustrating until I did Dune Legacy, which evens it out a little bit. It makes me more like a computer, where I can just go. I can actually tell. This is one of my favorite things. This is not in the original game. You'll have to experience this only through the Dune Legacy, and you can you can tell your troops to do hunt, and they will go. They'll go straight to where those Harkonnens are, and they'll just start. And it feels so good.
Yeah,
it's like a revenge. It's like I took a week off. I came back, and I'm like, now's my time for revenge.
Yeah.
And I just rolled over the Harkonnen.
Good.
Until
deserve it.
mission 5, they still were kicking my ass.
Well, they're dicks.
So hard.
They're the great dicks of the universe. And I have nothing but hatred for those people. They're terrible.
The only thing that I felt was downplayed a little bit too much, but I appreciate it, is the worms. I mean, that's the thing. When you think of Dune, you think of the worms, right? The sandworms are just
really hard to portray that, though, in these ancient machines. These ancient games.
Is.
Yeah.
Because
if you really want to show that stuff off, you have to really show it off. And I don't know.
Yeah.
16-bit console ain't going to quite cut it.
No, or the DOS. I felt disappointed though, because lots of times I'm like, well, when's the worm gonna come eat my guys? Because I'm making all kinds of noise. I'm marching across the sand. I'm
Yeah.
and I only got ate a couple of times. I usually saw it coming. You
Yeah.
can't kill the worms, but you can scare them off with your fire.
Yeah.
And
You can get away
yeah.
too if you're smart about which direction you
How-
go.
how far did you make it this time around? Because there's was there 7 missions
Yeah,
here? I
7
mean, it gets
7
the
missions,
first-
but
the
they're
first
big,
3
long, drawn out missions. They're not like short missions. It sounds like that sounds
Oh,
short
no.
to say 7 missions, but it's a beast. They're beasts.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so and the reason why is because there's no, you don't kick anybody's ass. You can't like in a lot of games you can grab it's tons of resources, and then you'll just go and roll over your enemy. There's none of that here. It's still a slow march progress. Takes 45 minutes typically for me to destroy them, even on the first 3 missions. I think the first mission maybe because they're the first 3 ones are almost like tutorials. I almost felt cheated because I was like, oh, I wasn't even playing the game yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took me forever to get to that part.
That makes sense though, right? That they wouldn't be
Yeah.
too crazy to start with. So
They're not too crazy because you're trying to learn things. You're you got to build, collectors, and so that you can go out and get all the spice, and
yeah.
and so you got to manage. You got to have heavy factories to build heavy machinery, and light factories to build lighter, things, and then you got to upgrade as you go along. And it's not always super logical, but you can always go back and talk to your mentat,
Yep.
who's super not helpful,
Nope.
especially the the bald. Is it the Harkonnen with this? He's got his grubby little hands.
Yeah, he's
And,
based on
he's bald.
He's based on a character in the book
Little wormy.
called in the movies he's David Dasmalchian, the actor, plays this
Yeah.
character, and he's way more involved in the book than he is in the movie. In the movie, just kind of slinking around going, making plans, and he's a sneaky little bastard. But in the game, they represent him in a much more meaningful way, I think. It's actually more close to the book in the game than the movie, funny enough.
Yeah. I love how he does it. And I didn't notice this either, but if you have a mouse, it's kind of like the first time you discovered that you could in what was it? Which Mario game? The Mario 64 on the N64.
Oh,
when you found out you could pull and stretch Mario's face.
Yeah. That
So
was a great time. I love that. That was one of the great discoveries of my life.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And so same here. I was just like, the mentat was there, and he was trying to read this stuff. And so sometimes when I'm reading, if I got a cursor, if I got a little mouse arrow, I'll point over to the word, I have to read it beep, 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 beep.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that, and I noticed that his face was following my little mouse thing, and that was super creepy. And then I started kind of making him going cross-eyed between the thing, and so I did that for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the only reason to play the Harkonnen is to harass your mentat.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a?
I like Harkonnens more now than I would have then. So this week I messed with the Harkonnens more than I did the Atreides. I didn't bother with the third faction. What are they again? I forgot.
The Ordos, which
Ordos.
are not really canon. I think it's a loose group of families. They're kind of like a mafia, I think. Because I don't think they're like a rich family or something. They're weird. I guess they're kind of neutral a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something weird going on there with them. But
something screwy. They just here for the spice. But you played the Harkonnen because that's the way to go.
Because they're
Harkonnens
cool,
are
man.
Strong.
Yeah, they're strong.
Powerful.
Most powerful race, I think, in the game. They have or at least they have the most potential to be the most powerful. They remind me of the Protoss in StarCraft in that they are difficult to master. But once you do, the whole game's hard, so I don't want to lessen that point, because that's a point that you could
Right.
there's a validity to that point. But if you can get real good at them, you can dominate, especially late game stuff.
Yes.
So
Now,
that's cool.
Of course, this is MS-DOS and Genesis. This is not multiplayer. This is single player, unless you're playing Dune Legacy, in which case you can play locally. I think up to 8 players, possibly. I don't understand how that works. I don't have that many friends.
Yeah.
I don't even have one friend. So it was just me, and seeing the options that I could have other friends play.
Yeah.
3 would make sense.
Yeah.
since there's 3 houses.
Right.
But
that makes
I'd be
perfect
interested to see how I would fare in kind of an Age of Empires kind of face to face with you.
Oh,
in
I think
Dune
you
2.
would. I think you would wreck me. Is what I think would happen.
I think after this week's sessions, probably so. But I think give me a year,
Yeah.
and I'll have forgotten everything.
Is that all you need? Is a year? All right.
Probably 6 months, maybe
A-
2 weeks. I don't know. We'll have to see.
A year of
it doesn't
Dune
take long.
2 on the MS DOS platform will get you there, I think. They keep trying to recapture this, and a more modern example of that is a game called Spice Wars, which came out last year. It was in early access for a year and a half or something like that before that. But I have that game, and it's good. It's modern in a bunch of new senses, like 3D, and the worms actually do play a giant role, and we have a lot of technology now, and I think the art and music is amazing, but it still doesn't quite capture the magic of this thing.
Right.
And the focus is less on it has combat, but it's more about strategic control of the spice and less about kill a bunch of dudes, In this game, you can just kill a bunch of dudes. You still need to dominate. You need to have the resources. You need to do all those things, just like in StarCraft. You need lots of Vespene gas and crystals to get the work done. That's still true, but it's also a lot about just armies facing armies and you dominating, which would go on to be the whole thing in Command and Conquer, that whole series from Westwood. So so my biggest takeaway with everybody's attempt to recapture these games in a modern way is that they just aren't quite getting there. It's just a little bit off. And I've heard good things about recent patches of that game. I'm going to go back and play it again. I own it. So I want to check it out. I meant to for this discussion, but I didn't have time. And the other one is, what's the other Dune game? Oh, the other one's not even in the same genre. The new Dune survival game MMO thing is, not this. So I want to see this done. I would love to see a modern take on this from some of the same devs, put them in charge, new game, make an RTS out of it. I'd play the shit out of a Dune 3, let's call it.
Yeah. I could totally see that. I'm still playing Dune 2.
Well, that's because you like what's old. What's old is new. What's new is old. It's fine. I have no issue with that. But I guess my takeaway is it would be really fun if somebody could I just don't know why it's so hard to capture the feeling of it. And maybe that's purely nostalgia. Maybe they can't do it any more than you could do it for, I don't know. The original Mario Kart is something very special about it. And I've played a million Mario Karts since. Well, not a million. There's 8 of them. But I've played the most modern 8, and 8 is great, but it doesn't capture that magic in the way that the OG one did. So maybe there's no capturing it. Maybe this is just purely you did it then. It was amazing. It's amazing now. You can improve on this model. I don't know.
Right. I think, plus I think older games require you to have a certain level of engagement that newer games don't require, because there's you've got to please such a larger audience.
Yeah.
Whereas you unapologetically built these Dune 2 games to be what they were. And they were just pure. It's pure spice. Whereas the more modern ones, you got to make compromise. They're bigger budgets. This is a fairly small team that built this, and it was pretty much built in the way that they wanted to. There wasn't like a big plan necessarily. There was just a what was fun, what worked, what was fun, how it got you through the game from point A to point Z.
Yeah.
And but modern games have a much bigger burden to make everybody happy, and as a result, it just doesn't feel as pure, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way of saying that. Yeah. I think that's exactly it. I don't know. I would love to see another attempt, but I don't know if they're gonna. Like, I think Spice Wars was a new attempt, and it's okay. It's good. It's just not this.
Yeah. I think the problem too is that Dune itself, I think everybody gets excited about the projects, and it's just so hard to deliver on. Let's face it, Dune's a great story, and it's kind of basic, and it's kind of dry though. There's only so much you can do with it, but everybody's so excited because it's it's such
Like the sands of Arrakis. It's a very dry experience.
very dry, and it's just hard to go beyond a certain point because I mean it's not like the Star Wars universe. It feels like it's endless.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas here it's like in Dune, everybody's always interested in the spice. Take spice away, what do you got? You got space folding, that's pretty cool. But in Star Wars, I mean, they've got entire universe stuff that they're doing that doesn't even necessarily focus on the Jedi. It's like, oh yeah, we know there's Jedi, but we got a depth here. This right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's always exciting to think about Dune, but then when you actually put it to practice, it's like, oh, well, we've kind of already done this, right?
Yeah, that's the thing.
You're collecting the spice, it's just Dune.
Yeah, you're just Duning it.
It's still Dune. Still you gotta stick your hand in a box, and there's have you fulfilled your destiny? Oh, I don't know. People with better creativity than me will probably come up with something better.
Yeah,
right.
No, I agree with that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I would love to see something more. Let's talk about what came after this. You talked a little bit about, I think you may have mentioned it, but anyway, Dune 2000 was the next big thing, which came out in 1998. This was Intelligent Games, and they worked with Westwood on this one. It is essentially a remake of Dune 2, though. So it wasn't like some big brand new thing. It was like, hey, come play this. People didn't like it, though. They were like, it's not as good as the OG, guys. It's not great.
No, it was nice to see. It made it to the PC, and more importantly, in my opinion, made it to the PlayStation, bringing that RTS to the PlayStation. You need one, and why not make Dune 2? And you can't really necessarily. You're not gonna make it with a bunch of sprite work, right? Like the first one. You're gonna do more PlayStation style stuff.
Sure.
And so you got bigger, chunkier things, and but you're getting to take advantage of the most important part. What makes this game stand out is the full motion video stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, the first one was cool. It's got those little cut scenes and stuff, and then Command and Conquer came along right after that, and they learned some stuff going along with that, and trying to tie in the gameplay with like stories. So you get your full motion videos happening in the Command and Conquer series just prior to this, and so they bring that into this new remake or redo of the Dune 2000, and got some John Rhys Davies.
Yeah, look at him out there. Look at him there talking.
Come on.
Here, I'll play a little of that. Let's get some audio from him. Hold on. Let me go back some. He just got through talking. Hold on.
About to get in his ornithopter.
Comets and harvesters. We can ill afford to fight two houses at once, so don't initiate combat. Just harvest your quota quickly. If they dare attack, bury their base in the sand.
Oh, goodness gracious. John Rhys Davies. Rhys Davies? Rhys Davies. I never remember.
I always say Rhys, could be Rhys. John Rhys.
Rhys,
I'm not sure.
Anyway, we love him. He's great. Here's the thing. This is Westwood at their most Westwood. Westwood was making Command and Conquer games now for a while, and they all featured this kind of cheeseball FMV stuff. Yeah. And they were the best. They were the best at it. Like nobody was doing work like they were doing it. And if you played any of the Command and Conquers, like Red Alert 1 and 2, both had just loads of amazing stuff in it. One of the greatest lines ever uttered was this one right here. Where is it? Hold on.
Space.
That's
Spice.
I can't think of his name. What's wrong with me? Played the It Clown in the original TV one. What's his name?
Yeah. Oh Christ. Why? And I can see his face now. And if you hadn't have said.
Yeah.
If you hadn't have said it. Anyway.
It Clown 80s. I'm going to find it. It's going to piss me off because he's a great actor.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Here it is.
Clue, everything. He's been everything. And he looks kind of rough lately, right?
He had a stroke.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. He had a stroke. Anyway, he's fantastic. And he's not in this. But anyway, you get your Gimli. Although he wasn't Gimli yet. Yeah. He was still Indiana Jonesy guy and sliders and stuff. That's how you knew him back then. But it adds something to it, right? Especially the year 2000 or whatever. Yeah. Did this come out in 2000? Hold on. I know it's called Dune 2000.
It was short. This was like during the late 90s.
Oh, there it is.
So it was 1998. And so, but you would, if you wanted something to seem slightly futuristic, you would call it 2000. And so, yeah, but I love that. Almost everything that's great about this is the full motion video. It really does tie everything in. And the gameplay is still there, but I'm a little frustrated because in the first one, you had a little better idea or concept of putting on concrete slabs. Concrete slabs become very important in this stupid game.
Yeah.
Unless you want to freaking spend a lot of money, because it's all about surface area. You got to build on rocks so that worms don't get you, but then those rocks are rugged, so you got to put down concrete platforms so that everything is stable.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you end up spending half your spice on that bullshit.
Yeah.
Repairing your stuff constantly because they're degrading. But here you can build larger concrete slabs in the first one, but there's not a really indication of how big things are going to be. Like the power unit that you have to place when you're building your bases is a pain in the butt, because you're like, how many grids is it? I don't know. Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
And you got to hit your triangle to bring up a menu to bring up your base so that you could build the things, and then it starts. It doesn't. Nothing's instantaneous. So you hear your spice ticking down.
Yeah.
And it'll build the stuff, and once it's finished, then you can place it. But man, it's way worse in this one than it was in the first one, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Watch some gameplay here. Later gameplay. I don't know if I ever made it far enough to send my tanks out to destroy the enemy in the fog of war, but
I
didn't get that far.
But again, if you were playing Command and Conquer at the time, this all made sense. Like it worked. It played the same. This is almost like a reskin of Command and Conquer, and a lot of people condemned it for that. They were like, "Well, what you've done here is not exactly remake the other game. What you've done is take one of your Command and Conquer games and you've reskinned it." And
what a shift!
Yeah,
what a shift! Because when Command and Conquer, the first one, came out, people called it Dune 3. Yeah. And it's like, oh, you just stole this from the. Well, it's like, yeah, that's the game engine that we've kind of been working with, and we're just going to shift the stories a little bit, and we're going to reskin a little bit, and why not? That's what you do. That's how you make your money.
Yeah,
you make your money.
You make your big fat cash that way.
You gotta make your big fat cash so you can make your next game, which will hopefully be even better than your last. But man, talk about really getting into the story, though. I mean, all the way from the very beginning, when the bald lady comes out and she starts talking to you, and there's the whispering of you'll die on this planet, and oh my gosh, all that stuff is just so freaking cool. And then what was the guy's name? The creepy guy for the Harkonnens.
Oh,
he's here too,
that guy
with his big ass bushy eyebrows. Did you get any footage of that guy?
Oh my god! So that's Baron. That's supposed to be Baron Harkonnen in here, and he's let's see if I can find him.
He's so delicious
because
I just couldn't stop smiling every time he would come on screen and threaten me to do good. Right, that's the difference. If you get Atreides. If you pick a House of Atreides, you kind of get like a positive pep talk, right?
Yeah.
But if you pick the Harkonnens, you get browbeat literally with the big giant brows that these guys have. And I just loved.
And your bald lady's your Queen Bene Gesserit lady. I can't think of her name.
I think so, right? Which is prostitute, right? Is that right?
Well,
is it Bene Gesserit?
They're not they're not prostitutes.
They're concubines.
No, some of them are, but not all of them. Like Paul's mom was. Well, Paul's mom was. I don't know if you call her a concubine. Well, anyway, she's complicated. But not all of them.
She's complicated.
So like
she's bald and complicated.
So like the Queen Bee lady, the old lady that puts his hand in the box in the movies.
Yeah.
They're like a mystic. How do I explain them? They're like mystics. They're not. Yeah. It's not like just prostitutes. They do a lot of stuff to control the inheritance of things, and so they'll turn the tide of wars simply by having one of their ladies, talk a powerful person into getting down with them, and now they're having their baby, and now that baby is of a certain line, and it's complicated. Right. There's more to it than that.
Complicated.
But yeah,
I can't wait for us to start our new podcast. Scott explains Dune to Brian.
I barely can explain it to myself, honestly. It's complicated.
I can't wait.
It's complicated stuff.
Dune is complicated.
So I think that's supposed
Do you
to
think
be.
the spice is supposed to be a reference to oil?
Yes, I do. I think that the entire Dune series is about the oppression of people for controlling
in different
wealth.
factions, all fighting in resource limited areas. Yeah, I mean
that's 100% that. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but I'm interested.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Let's see what came after that. Well, I'll tell you what. Emperor Battle for Dune in 2001. Again, Westwood and Intelligent Games. This is a spiritual successor to Dune 2 and Dune 2000. It was developed by Westwood Studios. Once again, 3D graphics this time. What'd you think of that?
Everybody else is doing 3D. I guess we might as well come to the 3D dance.
Yeah. Get it in there. This is about the time, let's see, 01, that would have been, well, they weren't the only ones trying to transition to 3D. But it also had amazing FMV once again, just incredible stuff.
This time we get a even a more nerdy connection, right? We get our I believe we do get our Worf, right?
Michael Dorn in this one. I didn't play it. I don't know. I didn't play this one.
Yes, Michael Dorn was in this one. That's right. Several notable actors appeared in the videos, including Star Trek's Michael Dorn, who played the role of Duke Atreides of House Atreides. Oh yes, I did watch the clip of this.
Wait, he's the Duke of that means he's Paul's dad? How does that work?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay.
That's how you rub his ridges and out pops Paul.
Yeah.
Right.
And here you have some Fremen. Boy, they got the races wrong on these people.
Fremen. They
got, let's see. Okay, we got the Harkonnens.
Look at that.
Again.
Look at that. He's got the silver nose thing, the markings on the nose. Is he trying to get to Valhalla?
I mean, they're all every minute they can, they're trying to get there. No, I don't know. But it was I remember seeing this. I never played it, and I didn't play it for this show, but I thought it was, at the time I was like impressed. Because this is about
the least amount of this one.
Yeah, I didn't even touch it. They made another game for Command and Conquer. I think it was called Oh shit.
I don't think that's what it was called. But you're getting a lot more green screen this time around because you got bigger set pieces essentially. With
what's the gas or whatever it is they have to harvest in Command and Conquer? What is that called?
Oh yeah. See, we should have done Command and Conquer.
Son of a B. We will at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah,
whatever that's called, but it's the name of the game had it in its title, and it had 3D sprite, or at least 3D environments, and then maybe the sprites were 3D. I don't remember for sure.
Right.
I'm doing a bad job of explaining this, but it was
Scott tries to explain video games and Dune.
Tiberium. That's it.
Of course, if it's Tiberium, that's like in the gosh. Come on.
Thank you, Pedro, in the chat. It is Tiberian Sun. Was the name of that game.
Yeah, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people poo-pooed it, but I thought it was rad because it used 3D stuff in it, and I was like, oh, yeah, dude, 3D in my RTSs, and I loved it, but a lot of people did not like that game.
Yeah, and this one feels a lot more modern. I mean, to only be a few years after the 1998 Dune 2000, I mean, we got when you deploy your buildings, they actually get built. Yeah. Like on screen, like in your little 3D objects, like
yeah.
Whereas before, it's just like you had a little bar that was, here comes your stuff. And then you just, then something to come flying in and drop off the piece. So it's much more modern. It feels way ahead of the 1998 Dune 2000, including the visual work. And
yeah, I'm not sure it holds up as well though. I think it's fine.
No, that's the problem with this.
Early 3D struggles. Yeah. Teenage years of 3D is full of zits.
Yeah.
And
it's bad.
We look back on it and just go, oh, the dithering, oh, the triangles, the edges, the inability to control anti-alias, or, the aliasing was so bad. And it's an era that I don't feel like embarrassed about as a player, but right. I just, at the time I was like, no way. And now I'm like, ugh. Like this looks so much better now. We've come so far.
I will tell you one thing that I'm noticing while watching the later game footage. Like I said, I barely even made it through the tutorial area on this one this week. But man, that worm was like, that's like Tremors level worm, like the movie Tremors. I mean, it's all it's above the surface lots of times and just destroying the crap out of things instead of just eating one unit occasionally. It's like they're just like surfing the crowd.
Oh,
just
no,
rah,
the
rah,
worms.
rah,
I mean, that was the not chief complaint, but one of the complaints of the earlier games is that the worms were really not useful. They were kind of lame.
Yeah.
And this was
Look
a
how
chance
fast
for them
this
to
is.
fix that. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. That's super cool. It's fast as hell. Like I kind of want to dig more into this one, and I'll bet they're mods. Somebody's modded this.
Somebody's definitely modded this. Oh, look at that! You got your waypoints. You're gonna tell your guys where to go. What a clever idea!
Yeah.
Instead of pointing to every single unit.
Yeah. Yep. I am gonna play
with no speed increase.
I'm gonna fire. I'm in the mood to fire up Spice Wars this weekend. I think I'm gonna get a little time in there.
Okay.
Just to see how, again, it was last year. There was a lot of good games last year. Had a lot of my attention being pulled in different ways. I meant to give it more time. Overall, the reviews were like, yeah, this is good. I don't know. I just need to go back because to be honest, when I play an RTS, I need to play something StarCraft 2 or higher, bigger, if I'm going to be there for a long time. Talking about it on the show, not a problem. Let's get in, fiddle around. That's good. But I cannot we've got way too many quality of life improvements since Dune 2. I'd be
curious to see what you think about Dune Legacy. If there's enough added there to make it worthwhile, because
it's worth checking out. I would check it out.
Yeah, even Dune Legacy is like way behind some of this other stuff we're looking at. So I'm curious. Now, we did talk about Dune 2 and some of the Dune stuff, and we didn't get in this short show. We don't get nearly as detailed as I'd like to be. So definitely head over to readonlymemory.com and look for The Making of Dune 2. That is a really good read. They interview Joe Bostic, and I think they talk a little bit to Frank Klepacki, who is the composer, and they talk to some of the guys involved with that, and they really lay out the timeline and how much Westwood is involved with each of these as opposed to what Intelligent Games was bringing, because at one point in time Virgin was doing the publishing and then Westwood was doing some publishing for Intelligent Games, so they had input but not necessarily as much in the development part. So it's a really good read. And that, once again, that is readonlymemory.com.
Nice.
Making a Dune 2.
Go check it out. Also, just a shout out to the 1992 Dune Mud. That thing is great. I played it a little bit on a LAN that we had at the office I worked for back in those years. And I don't remember specifics, but I remember thinking that was fun as hell. Yeah. And
guess what? You can still play it.
Can you still play it now?
DuneMud.net. Head over there, and you can still get involved with the mud stuff.
Oh, look at that.
Get your telnet on. Can even do a TL secure.
Yeah, I might have to do this. Oh, it's very updated too. Look at all this.
Yeah. Still active after all these years.
It's all text-based.
Yeah.
Man, the stuff we were doing back then, so stupid. I mean, great. It's great. It's great. But it's stupid. All right. Well, I'll do that. And I no longer have a phone line I have to make sure my mom doesn't pick up so that it interrupts my game. So that's fantastic news. All right. Let's move on, everybody, to a game that we like to play here on the show. And it's called Guess My Game. Okay? It's Guess My Game. And for some reason, it isn't playing. Let's find out why that won't play. Oh, I know why, because I locked it. All right, now it's on.
Destroy it.
Don't know why I locked that one. Let's get into it. Brian, these are game audio from old games that we brought to the table. We try to trick each other into thinking it's something else. We get 4 possible answers, a year, and a platform. And I'm going to start with this one. One that we have not done, I don't think, before. Okay?
I don't think we've done any 3DO stuff. This is a
first 3DO game. First 3DO game, I believe. We may have done Gex or something early on, but that was also PlayStation. So this is 3DO specific game. And the year is 1995. All right? Here is your audio, and we'll talk about it after that.
A city taken over by crime lords like Terrence Pitt.
Okay, here's shooting and the music and the whatnot there.
Terrence Pitt.
Terrence Pitt. Here are your options. Was it A, The Horde? Was it B, Star Control 2? Was it C, Return Fire? Or was it D, Blade Force? Again, those options are The Horde, Star Control 2, Return Fire, or Blade Force.
As I never played any 3DO games, and this was a 3DO exclusive apparently, I know nothing about this or Terrence, whatever his name was, but I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to say not The Horde because that doesn't give me anything. It doesn't sell anything. Star Control 2 doesn't sound like it's in space. Could be. Return Fire, that sounds like it's what he's doing right now. It sounds like he's returning fire right now. Or Blade Force. It was 1995, and Blade Force just feels right. So I'm going to go, give me the D.
Let's find out if it's the D after I give you the D. That is correct. It is Blade Force.
Woo!
Yeah. Never showed up anywhere else. Return Fire was awesome, but it also ended up on PlayStation. Star Control 2, of course, multi-platform. The Horde, I think, was 3DO exclusive. There was a hot minute there where I thought that console was going to be the best thing ever.
We all did.
Yeah.
We were very excited.
It's a real bummer that it didn't go where
it still gets me excited to think about the 3DO. I think I still want one. It's one of those things that's on my list of I got to get the real hardware and just take a taste, because I never had a Sega Saturn, and it's become one of my favorite systems.
I love the Saturn
that I've ever had.
I gave my 3DO to my friend Andrew for, I can't remember how much I sold it for.
Oh, you said give. I thought you get.
No, I sold it to him, and I'm bummed.
Yeah.
I should have kept it. I should have kept all that stuff. I don't know why I didn't. Anyway, I don't know where it is now. I'm sure he's tossed it. Let's move on to yours, Brian. So you're doing good. You got the correct answer. Let's see if I can win or fail here. Tell me about my platform in my year, please.
Well, I believe in you. We're at the arcade. We're back at the arcade again, Scott, and the year is 1993.
93. All right, here we go.
Why?
Give me my options. I think I'm heading in the right direction here.
All right. Is this A, Mortal Kombat, B, Mortal Kombat 2, C, Killer Instinct, or D, Survival Arts?
Okay, well, that is definitely not Mortal Kombat or Mortal Kombat 2. I played those enough to know that's not what those sounded like.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yes, I am very sure. So I think it's down to Killer Instinct or Survival Arts. 93?
The year was 1993 at the arcade. You were definitely punching buttons.
I'm gonna guess. It doesn't sound like the kind of music that was. Arts. I'm going to go with the one that I'm least confident about out of those two. I'll just say Survival Arts because I don't think it's Killer Instinct. There's just something wrong with the sound to be that.
Can you say give me the D?
Give me the D.
Give me the D. Scott, go ahead and give yourself a ding.
Oh,
that's right,
got
it's Survival Arts. A very Mortal Kombat-like game.
I remember this vaguely in the arcade. I don't know if I ever played it.
Yeah.
Survival Arts. I want to see what this looked like.
It's Survival Farts.
Survival Farts. Oh, yeah. This was a big-time MK ripoff.
Yeah. It's
I remember this.
Mortal Kombat. We could do Mortal Kombat, too.
Yeah.
It's got all the stuff.
I think I didn't play it out of like solidarity with I felt like it was an affront to MK fans. We were just like, hello, you can't do that. Survival.
Come on, you can't do that.
Arts.
It looks exactly like the thing. Come on.
Long play. Let me find one we can show the chat here. You got to see this thing because it really, I mean,
it's the digitized images of the real actors. I mean,
yeah.
they call it similar to Midway's arcade hit Mortal Kombat. No, exactly like
it's
Mortal
a lot
Kombat
like it. The only big difference is that it was way zoomed in the fighting. Your characters are much closer. You weren't as zoomed out, but look at it. You can see this this is totally like MK stuff. And they also got real violent at the end. You could cut each other in half or blow each other up or whatever. They were clearly trying to cash in.
What did they call it? What did they call their their babality or
fatalities. They call them
yeah.
death.
What do they call them?
Death man punch. No,
Death punch.
I have no idea. Look at this guy in the green jumpsuit. Give me a break. This is real stupid. Yeah, don't play that game. It's not, I bet that game's not fun, if I had to guess.
I'll have to see. There's got to be something, right? I mean, you can't just have a Mortal Kombat clone and not try to at least do something different. He's fighting Kane. How do you get away with that?
Yeah, that's true. How do you get away with that? It's garbage, though. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah. No, they've got a Native American guy. Of course they do. Let's see. What other things are the same?
Kane.
Boy, they got a. I'm trying to find a list of like fatalities or death scenes. I don't
right.
see
Oh,
any.
so here's some of the fatalities. Depending on what move or weapon the player uses at the last hit against the opponent while it knocks them out, the defeated opponent will either be burned, disassembled. No, sliced in half. That's just one disassemble.
Yeah.
In two different ways. So bifurcated and quadricated, I don't know, decapitated or electrocuted. Gee, that sounds original. Which is as simple as performing deaths in Barbarian the Ultimate Warrior. Remember that game?
Yep. Oh yeah,
Barbarian the Ultimate Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was unique.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the arcade cabinet. I mean, you'd think you were looking at an MK cabinet if you weren't careful. It's really lame. All right, well, I got lucky. I feel lucky today.
Right. You feel lucky?
We both did D's. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
I don't know why we did. Last fight.
We like the D.
We like the D, man.
Let's move into this zone here, which is a welcome to retro. Well, that's not the right one. Where is it? There it is. Let's welcome to the retro world. Fire Emblem, The Sacred Stones came out August 23rd, 2004. That's 2004 for those who say it right. Game Boy Advance game, tactical RPG from the beloved Fire Emblem series. It is the best of them all, in my opinion. Ooh, I don't think there's a. I don't even to this day they've never topped it. I think that Sacred Stones is the best. I mean, someone's going to argue with me, but Fire Emblem rocks, and that one in particular rocks. So.
Yeah, and it's all about the sacred stones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep, all about them stones. You got to get them stones back. And the thing I liked about it, though, is the previous games were great, but this game had more frames of animation. The combat seemed like better scenarios. I can't even quantify this part, but it just felt better to play. And it just looked better. It just was a better looking, better sounding game. And I thought it was awesome.
They say it stands out for its new game mechanics, which are branching class paths and ability to revisit previous battles. So give me a little more feeling of openness, right? Where you can just, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want.
You can make decisions. The last games were fine, but they were a little linear. And the actual battles, not so much. You still had to kind of decide how you're going to attack a situation. But this game just had more under the hood. I really liked it. So welcome to the 20-year rule. Fire Emblem, The Sacred Stones from 2004. It's good to have you here. All right, Brian, it's time for some listener feedback, and that's for this. Oh, man. This is a phone call. This is an actual phone call. You're not going to believe this. This is millennial stuff, is how I labeled it.
Okay.
So check it out.
Hey, this message is for Play Retro, Dunaway Johnson. Love you guys.
Aww.
Love the show. It's been fun being a millennial. I was my first era was the PS1 era, so it's fun seeing you guys revisit that, and then some stuff that I remember my brother introducing me to. He's about 15 years older than me. But I had an idea for Play Retro. A couple of pretty big games have their 20-year anniversary this year, which is when you guys induct them into the retro community, and I thought it would be a good opportunity this year to do a brand new introduction. You know, you introduce it and then you cover it the same week. And I can't believe these games were only released a week apart. That kind of blows my mind. But my two would be Half-Life 2 and WoW. They are. One was released November 16th, 24, and the other one was released November 24th of 2004. So crazy to think that those games are only a week apart or so, considering the impact they both had on gaming in general.
crazy.
I mean, Half-Life 2 was a benchmark game for a very long time, and WoW, I mean, does Frog Pants even exist without WoW? Who knows? All right, love the show, guys. Thank you. Bye.
It probably doesn't exist in the form it turned into.
Right.
We were doing ELR long before that, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Well, not long before that. We actually started it while WoW was still young, but yeah, that was a crazy year. DS came out that year. First DS.
Oh, man.
Yeah. The ugly gray clamshell one. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, you know, what you going to do?
Thing was bad. The light was a few years away,
Well.
but
Well, that's right. But now that's a great call. I would love to get more calls like that. That's a great idea, especially Half-Life 2. Man, I've been thinking about Half-Life 2, but man, we really need to do that one up special. That feels like this the biggest specialist episode ever.
well, we should do
Just
Half-Life 1
Half-Life
and
2.
2, right? Because Half-Life 1
Yeah,
Half-Life 1 deserves maybe even more discussion, just given how seismically important that game is. Like 2 is a
Right.
big deal, but 2 is still, it's a lead on. 1 changed the business like forever.
Yes.
And not, I don't just mean because it was one of the most innovative shooters of all time, and it still stands that way, but it spawned Steam, which launched with 2, and without Half-Life as kind of your backbone, I don't know that Steam ever happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were definitely it needs our attention. But Half-Life 1 was 98.
Wow.
That year is nuts. What a year that was. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 98 is also a great year. 2004, oh, so good.
StarCraft 1,
Classics.
StarCraft 1 Brood War, Ocarina of Time. What else?
When did Half-Life 3 come out?
Still hasn't. Still working on. I mean, the rumor is they're working on
That's
it,
right.
but they don't have to hurry. It's Steam. They print, or it's Valve.
Right.
They print money. They're fine.
Yeah, they don't. They'll never happen. It'll be called something else. It'll never be called Half-Life 3. They'll never allow that to happen. We have Alex. We got stuff. They'll find a way to do more Half-Life stuff, but
I want to play their
there's
new.
too much on it.
I want to play that. I have a beta invite, and I just haven't tried it yet. But I want to try their new shooter,
me too.
team-based shooter thing. See how that is.
Yeah, I did too. I got it as well, and I've been meaning, and I just haven't.
I've heard good things.
It's like I've been playing Dune 2 all week or something.
Yeah, it's as if you've been in Arrakis trying to control
Yeah.
the spice melange.
Melange.
I hate the name of it.
I do too, but
It's
I
so
love
annoying.
it. It's got the spice melange.
the
They can just
melange.
call it the spice. Don't call it the spice melange. Don't do that.
I mean, it's from the book.
we know what
but
color it is.
I think
is.
if Frank Herbert could have taken one thing different, I think that should have been taken out of there. I hate the name. Melange. All right.
Audiobook or real book?
Both are
Audio-
good. I read the books.
All right.
I can't do audiobooks. I get distracted. Other people are
Right.
the exact opposite. They get distracted with reading a book and they do fine with listening. For me, it's I don't know why. I lose track constantly with audiobooks. I had to stop doing it. But when I read like letters on a page or a Kindle or whatever, no problem. I stay totally focused. So that's how I do it.
Interesting.
But I think you could go either way. And
That's how I do it.
I'll bet there's multiple versions of the audiobook with like various readers that are all awesome. I'm sure that stuff exists, but
Oh yeah.
the spice meringue says Icor. Nice.
The spice meringue.
At least sounds better than melange.
Melange.
All
I can't
right.
even say it any other way.
No, you don't want to. I never want to say it again.
Welcome
To the treasure room. Oh, we already played that. What am I doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
I meant to do the retro report. Roller Coaster Tycoon, Unreal Tournament 99 and 04, plus retro achievements, watch parties for our X-Men watch through. Ooh, should we do one today? We could. How much time?
could.
What time do you have after this?
Right now it is 5:11. I've got time for an X-Men.
We could squeeze one in.
We can squeeze one in.
And that's for anybody who wants to watch in our Discord channel. And then later we put it up for the patrons so they have access to it in the
Yeah, we have how many up so far for the patrons? We got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe
6. I thought 5. Oh, maybe 5 because
No, it
4
might be.
four was the weird one. 5 got good again, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
So if you like watching classic X-Men and having two nerds talk over it,
Yeah.
you want to join today.
Yeah. And it's the old one. We're not doing the newer one yet. We'll get around to that and we'll get those done too. But it's the old 90s one that we're
Right.
watching.
not.
I'm going to kill you, bub. All right. Go check that out, by the way. retrogib.com. That's retrogib.com. And, of course, all kinds of fun stuff happening on frogpants.com/Discord. Our next discussion is going to be Sunset Riders from the arcade.
Yes, we heading back to the arcade with some Sunset Riders. This was special requested by several people, including one in the chat room right now. Tonda Gosa had filled out our form a while back, and we had several people recommend the Sunset Riders.
It's fantastic. That game holds up. It is super fun. It is, it's another side scroll beat 'em up, but you're shooting. It's more like, hey, what if Final Fight had a baby with Contra or something, but then set in the Old West with way too much bright colors. Like, it's a very weird game and super fun. Like, still a blast.
I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, we're going to play the shit out of this. So get your arcade on next week when we talk about Sunset Riders. All right,
going from one desert to the wild
skirting the west with me and Dunaway. That's it for that. Go support us if you can. We'd love your help over at patreon.com/playretro, where you'll get no ads, you'll get pre-show content every week and other great benefits. So sign up today. That includes those X-Men archives. We're going to put those all up there. Already have however many are there now. Is that English? I think that was English.
That's English.
I don't know.
Like that there right there now.
Right there, right now. So you can go do that. You can also contact us, playretroshow@gmail.com, or you can call us and leave us voicemails and or texts. That's 801-471-0462. All other things can be found at frogpants.com/playretro. That's going to do it for us. Brian, do you have anything else you want to say?
Yes, I must now go get the spice melange.
Oh, go get the melange. You guys do the same. And don't forget, the spice must flow, and so must your retro lives. Go play something retro, and we'll see you next week.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Yeah.